In this video, we're going to go through a hip mobility routine to work on some rotation, to work on some depths and some squats, to really free up those hips so they don't cause a lot of tension on the low back. I'm Dr. Tommy, owner of Extra Mile Rehab and Performance, where we go the extra mile so you can go the extra mile. Go and like our channel for other videos about mobility in the shoulder, hips, and ankle. Now let's get to it. We're going to start kind of in that 90-90 position. So we're going to be sitting and we're going to be putting our feet out a little bit wider than shoulder, toes out, and we're going to work on some rotation. So it's going to be internal rotation on the one side, external rotation on the other side. Coming up, going the other way. Key for this is that you really want that rotation to be coming from your hips best you can and not all from your back and your core. So this back hip may come up off the ground if you're really restricted. If you can't get all the way down, just go as down as far as you can. Trying to keep kind of that 90-degree bend in the knee. Just going side to side, getting a little bit of a squeeze as we go through. You can use your hands to support, or you can make it a little more challenging to get your core engaged and keep your hands in front. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go into the pigeon, half pigeon position. So we're going to put our front leg at 90 in front of us, other knee at 90 behind us. And we want to kind of come up in this position. So we're really working on lengthening that adductor. We're working on getting some length through that glute behind us. If you're really tight, you might need to put something under this knee, maybe a yoga block or a foam roller or something like that. We're kind of coming up into this position. And we want to work on getting this knee towards the floor first. We're working on that mobility, and we're going to lean our shoulder this direction. We should feel that stretch along the back of this bottom leg here. And then come back out of it. We're trying to go this direction. We can count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back out of it. Go back into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do that 2 or 3 times there. Should definitely be feeling that in the glute on the back of that right hip. We're going to switch to the other side. Ooh. Now we're going to focus more on this back leg here. We're going to focus on that internal rotation. So when we're in this position, internal rotation is this foot going up towards the ceiling. So that position, be getting this foot, whoo! This one's super tight on my left leg from my old hip injury. I can barely get that foot up off the ground, but that's what the goal is. And so what I'm really squeezing is those deep rotators to get more internal rotation through that hip. And what I don't want to do, I don't want to lean forward to let that hip come up. I want to try to keep my hips relatively stacked. So I'm really feeling that rotation here in that back leg. If you wanted to make this more challenging, you could try to hold up with both hands, but that'd be super tough. You just repeat this, kind of going up and down, going for, 5 to 10 reps, or we can do an isometric hold. So we can hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, come back out of it. Ooh. Whew, that's definitely some work there. It's going to really work on that depth in those squats, really free up those hips. So as we come back out of it, come back up to here. Keeping this leg in the same position, we're going to work to get this back out. And you got to squeeze this glute over here to get this hip back open, then bring it back down. This is going to be 10 reps here. Really working on rolling into that internal rotation, feeling that stretch through here. Might be a little bit pinchy. So if it gets pinchy, just kind of pause at that pinchy part and see if you can get back to that same spot the next rep. Good job. All right, now we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to go to that 90-90 position where we got kind of that 90-degree bend here, 90-degree bend here. Kind of want our foot and our knee and our other foot kind of in a straight line. We're going to work on leaning this way. We're trying to feel that stretch in this left glute now. So I'm trying to bring my shoulder to this way. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kind of repeat that 3 times going this way. Come back out of it. We're going to go again. Whoo! Coming back out of it. All right, so we're going to go to that internal rotation on that other leg. We're trying to lift this foot up towards the ceiling. So I have a little bit more on this side. Not much. So we can repeat that. We can do it for reps if you're able to do this. Going for 10. If you can't get it up off the ground, then you just want to take up that tension and really squeeze and try to hold it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming out of it. And you can repeat that and build up until you're able to get that foot off the ground. Again, we're trying to keep our chest up and our core tight, so we don't want to lean way down here and get that motion. We want to really try to squeeze those deep rotators deep in the hip here to get that lift. All right, so now we're just going to work on flossing that new motion we just got. Keep this leg pinned, come out of it, back into it, out of it, back into it. We'll do this about 10 times. The top, really squeezing at the top to push to open that hip. Nice. Whew. All right, shake it out. Doing great, doing great. All right, for this next one, we're going to be focusing on that adductor there. I'm going to bring those feet together, bringing those feet in nice and close, that old school butterfly stretch. What I want you to really think about though is I really want you to keep your chest up and try to keep your belly button forward so your hips are rolled forward. I don't want those hips rolled back and your chest down because that's going to take the tension out of your hips. So you want to keep up nice and tall, coming forward, and you can kind of rock side to side, kind of come forwards and back a little bit to feel that stretch through the adductors there. All right. Then we can go up and kind of now we're going to go into our Cossack squat. So this is really working on our knee bend, our ankle bend, and our hip mobility. So we're going to come up here. Feet are going to be a little bit wider than shoulder width. We're going to try to go off to one side. And ideally, we want to keep our toes pointed straight ahead. If that's too much tension, we can kind of open up our toes out a little bit. And as we go down, we kind of rotate this trailing leg onto our heel. And then we're trying to really feel that stretch through here. And kind of do a sustained hold for about 10 seconds. We really feel that tension here in this leg. If you don't have your ankle mobility, you might have to come up on the ball of your foot. If you do have good ankle mobility, I'd love for you to keep your heel on the ground. And we're going to go this way to the other side. So rotating out, up onto my heel. There we go. Kind of sitting into that position, feeling that load through the inside of that leg. Hold that for about 10 seconds. There we go. And then we're gonna work going side to side, in and out of this stretch. So we're gonna go side to side. Again, you can rotate your toe out if that's too much tension through here. The more progressed version would be to keep your foot straight forward. That would get more mobility through that hip. Go side to side 4 or 5 times. This is a great one to do to warm up for front squats, overhead squats, snatches, any of those positions where we really need a lot of depth. It's really going to help open up the hips. All right, so now we're going to go into our lunging position to work on that hip flexor in the front. And what we do is we're going to try to keep our core nice and tight, really drive our hip forward and squeeze our glute here so that we are really getting good length through the front of our hip. What we don't want to do is allow this to just break. So see how that's as much as I have there when I'm active? So if I let it relax, I get more motion, but it's just because my pelvis is rocking, putting more pinching on my back and more stretching in the front. So make sure you have an active core and an active glute to work through that mobility in the front. There we go, and you can kind of sit into that for 5 to 10 seconds. Then after that, we're going to kind of widen up our stance, get this foot a little bit wider. We're going to get this elbow towards the floor. We're trying to get more stretch through this right hip, right inside of the right hip, in front of the left hip. And then we can work on this rotation. So coming down and back out of it. Coming down, back out of it. Down, back out of it. We can do that 4 or 5 times. There we go. All right, and then we can come back into here and push back up and then switch sides. So coming into that hip flexor stretch again we're keeping an active core and an active glute to really drive our hip forward, letting this leg bend, knees over toes. So we feel that stretch here. You can hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds. Do that 2 reps or so, 2 or 3 if it feels sticky. There we go. Then we can kind of widen up our stance, bringing our elbow towards the floor. Working on that rotation out. You can do that 5 times. Two more reps. 1 more rep. There we go. All right, we can come back into the middle. Whew. And we can just kind of hang out in this nice pancake position. Going down nice and low. Keeping our toes straight ahead and really grabbing the floor. Feeling that stretch those adductors and back of the hamstrings. Trying to pull down about 3 seconds, then relax. We'll pull down 3 seconds again, then relax. Then we'll bring our feet in a little bit closer, like our catch position for a squat. We're going to try to go all the way down. See if we can hang out in this bottom receive position. You can kind of shimmy your feet. If you don't have the mobility here, you can go up on the balls of your feet. And then work to get your feet down. And then with your elbows, push those knees out. Work on that bottom position. You come back up here. There we go. And then go again. Nice. And come back out of it. Whew. All right, great work. That's gonna be our hip mobility warm-up routine. Really getting those hips feel nice and buttery, especially when you're looking for depth in your squat positions.